Hello everyone, how you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. Today we're here with the top 100 soccer card auctions of the week via the PWCC platform. I'll be going through basically the highest sales of the week and sort of what it means and where it all plays out. We do this every week, so if you guys enjoy it, make sure to leave a like. Shows me that you enjoy it and keeps me doing them. Also, would love to hear any of your thoughts on different auctions or things you may have purchased as well as we get on into it. But with that, let's go ahead and get on into it. Starting off here on the bottom row, this is one of the lower weeks in terms of the sold for price. Typically, the lowest price are anywhere between 150 and 300 sometimes, so this is on the lower end. So we'll have some different stuff, sort of some oddball things here and there. So we'll start with a couple 2007 Monday Chromo Messies. These are the security vertical parallels. With Monday Chromo, they typically always have a couple different variants going with them, and they seem like pretty good prices. I mean, these aren't anything in particular that people write home about, and going for 150 for a third-year Messi isn't too bad at all. Next to that, we have a Johan Cruyff Panini Calciatore 1975. Really nice looking there. PSA 7, Pop 104, 2 higher. This Rumenegi on the left is a pseudo rookie as far as I'm aware. From what I could find, there's a 77/78 sticker. But this does look really good, and we'll see another one from the set in a PSA 7. Sort of one of those underappreciated legends going for 150. Above that, we have some oddball things here. Another Monday Chromo Messi. A PSA 2 Neymar going for 160 seemed like a pretty good price. I mean, we've been seeing sort of mid to high grades going for attainable prices, so that still seems like a strong floor there. A 1958 Pele rookie. This is a team photo though, so going for 160. Still a good price. We have a couple Lothar Matthäus, and we'll take a look at these. Both of these also are like pseudo rookies where there is a rookie earlier than that, but they are, you know, early and attainable, so people do like them, and I think they both look very good. As we can see here, 2 6s going for basically 170 a piece. Before that, a 5 was going for 90, and a 6 went for 270, so you know, I guess sort of seems to be bouncing around. I guess from the last sale, the foil is down 100, but from the PSA 5 sale, that still looks pretty decent, so definitely has taken a hit though. If we scroll really far back, it was not pretty in 2022/early 2021. PSA 3 going for 330, PSA 5 going for 400. Seems like one of those players where, you know, initially there wasn't a lot of volume out there for people to get their hands on. Now there is, so you sort of have to figure out where that balance is. Then we got a 1966 Pele and a 1 going for 168. Then we have a Fabio Cannavaro 1993 Calciatore going for 174 and a 9. Again, I think this is one of those pseudo rookies where there is an earlier attainable one, but this is also a really nice one, and people love Panini Calciatore, really legendary brand in soccer. Mia Hamm SI for kids, don't really have too much to say on those. I guess I like them in terms of maybe as a true collecting thing. Like if I could find USMNT ones for cheap, maybe I'd buy them just because I think they look kind of cool. But as like true rookie cards and really like valuable thing, I don't really know. I don't like perforated things in general, especially something I know is just from like a US magazine. SGC 3 Pele going for 174, so nothing too crazy there for a Pele in low grade. Cristiano Ronaldo 2004 Panini Paxio Portugal. I think these are 2003, I could be wrong. Nonetheless, going for 180 and a 7, not easy to grade, so they do hold a pretty high premium. Above that, a couple odds and ends in this row. We have a Florian Wirtz out of 99 Sapphire going for 186. We have a Piola over here. I will say a lot more pre-war in auctions recently, so I'm sort of able to brush up on some names and get a bit of a history lesson, but nothing I'm digging into the weeds too much in yet, but I do appreciate the art and the aesthetics. A Noir PK going for 186. This is on card. I believe it's match worn. I could be wrong. Player worn. Okay, well, yep, it is what it is. I guess people really like the spotlights from that set, not as much the patch autos. This Mohamed Salah going for 190. That actually seems kind of high because in Discord recently someone posted a PSA 9 Salah on eBay that went for like 20 bucks basically. So a 10 for almost 200 seems like a bit of a premium. 2007 Monday Chromo Thierry Henry and a 10 going for almost 200. Initially when I saw this, I didn't like it, but then I was like, oh, okay, Thierry Henry at Barca in a 10. I know he has collectors, and you know, obviously a big name and sort of a big move. So all of that seems to make sense to me after I sort of chew on it a little bit. But pop 1 of 1, maybe that lured someone in a little more than they should have. I would just grab that raw for a few bucks if you really want it that bad. I don't know if paying the premium for a 10's really worth it, but some people are like that. I'm not one. Ronaldo PSA 1. I will say, like, I don't know. You know, saying we reach floors is always a scary thing to say. But generally speaking, like, I do like seeing sales like this where, you know, a Ronaldo even in a one's going for $200. I mean, it seems a bit high if you ask me. But, you know, the same sort of goes for that Neymar earlier for 162. I mean, the med grades of these have fallen, and the high grades have for both of those as well. But as you can see, I mean, even the low grades are still doing okay. And that's sort of what we've seen with the Messi Mega Cracks market, so maybe that's true elsewhere. It would seem to make sense to me, at least partially, because people that are buying 1s and 2s and 3s, I mean, those are people that are just getting what they can get because they love it, right? And people that are getting 5s and 6s and 7s and 8s and are paying a premium, you know, they're not always paying that premium because they love it, right? And you gotta question that sometimes. But a really good sale there, and fun to see. Next to that, we have a Heinerle De Stefano 4.5 going for $200. Not bad, at least in terms of recent prices for that set. Pretty legendary vintage set, so I actually did get a card from this set in this auction, but it was way too cheap. I wasn't gonna go for one of the big boys yet. Just sort of dipping my toes. Next, after that, we have a 1971 George Best. Not rookie or anything, but definitely an early George Best, and definitely got the locks flowing as well. Then we have a Rui Costa. I haven't seen this far too often. I guess it's a PSA Pop 1 of 1, so that would, I guess, sort of imply why. This is a fun one, 1997. It says on the slab, it's actually 96. Panini Thierry Henry. Taking a look at this, the 6 sold for $240. The last one before this was $274 in February. And then the last one before that was $440 in January. So down a little bit, but really down from like a year to 2 ago. That's sort of when this thing peaked, I would say. As you can see there, 4.5 going for $700, another 4.5 going for almost $500, and now you have 6s available for $240. I'm not a Thierry Henry collector, but, you know, if prices get to a certain point on certain guys that I feel like are worthwhile, then maybe I do, you know, sort of dip my toes. I think it's a fun one, though. Obviously, people love the Panini Foot, but personally, if there's 2 options and people always, you know, clamor towards one, sometimes I like to go for the other because at least, you know, it's all baked in, right? It's baked in that people don't like this compared to the Panini Foot. The Panini Foot in this grade would probably go for, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6X. Then we have a nice looking 1968 Pele with a green and yellow border next to an also yellow border Roberto Baggio that I wanted to look up. This seemed pretty strong whenever I initially looked at it, and turns out that it is pretty strong. Looking back here, the last, I guess, PSA 7 went for $500 on best offer. Now, to be fair, best offer versus auction, that really depends. So the last auction for PSA 7 was in December for $300, and then the one before that was $275. So comparing it to that, I mean, only $50 less for, I guess, a BGS 7.5. At this point, I thought people saw BGS as like -2 to 3 grades. So this is like a 4 or 5. But you know, it all depends on the person and each individual sticker too. Some of these can be really wavy, and so if they're wavy, then you're obviously going to pay less, but some of them look, you know, somewhat decent, so you have to take that into account and really look at the stickers. I know people don't want to do that, but, you know, sometimes you got to care about what's inside the slab, right? Cool looking Pele here, but it is a stamp, or at least it seems to be. This is why, you know, I would love to be proficient in the Pele market and understand it one day, but at the same time, there's just so much stuff out there, and it feels like just anything with Pele gets thrown in a slab, so it feels never ending, but it does look really cool. You know, Pop 1 of 3 ungraded higher. I don't know why that is. Probably people just not grading it, I would assume. Above that, a bunch of odds and ends here. We have some pre-war Spanish, and then over here we have an impeccable Dennis Bergkamp going for $260. People seem to like the impeccable set recently, so that is a big one there on card 2, which is always fun. Then we have a gold Galazzo 2020 Messi Chrome. People love the gold. I mean, you know, I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but $250 for a Messi gold doesn't seem too crazy. Then we have a nice looking Carlos Valderrama 1990 PSA 5 going for $250. Always love the Panini Foots. Anything with like a really bold, vibrant border is always going to get my love. Then above that, we have another row that's, you know, a bit more odds and ends. We have a Pele that's PSA 1 from 67. We have a dollar-like Garrincha from 1962, sort of a set we see a lot. One thing of note that I thought was pretty interesting, I know I mentioned at the beginning that, you know, this is some of the lower prices that we've seen in a while, but I mean, this is like a lot of rows of pretty low prices. Not to say that, you know, these should have gone for more, because realistically, as we look at comps, it seems about right in line for the most part. But maybe that there's just, you know, less of those good cards being sold at the moment, probably because of where we're at, and maybe because, you know, people that have seen prices come down as far as they have, you know, why are they selling now unless they really have to? It could be a ton of different factors. I mean, obviously PSA was backlogged, so they had more cards, and so there was more impending supply, and, you know, all this stuff. But I do find that pretty interesting because, you know, back in the day, I remember going through auctions where there'd be like 4 or 5, you know, med grade Messi rookies of like, the same exact card. And you really don't see that as much anymore, even across the board, not just Messi, add in, rookie of whoever you want to here. I feel like I don't see as many duplicates per auction, which is, I guess, encouraging to see. Here we have a PSA 6 though. I'll check out that price because you always got to check out the Messi stuff just to see sort of where it's at. This sold for $276 compared to the last sale of $206 and $215. Now, this is a PSA 4, golly. To be fair, these are probably Campione. This is Campio, so there's a little bit of a premium there, but, all in all, seems like a pretty good sale there. Above that, this is another one from the 1978 set that we saw earlier. This is Rudy Voller. This looks like a true rookie, actually, which is why it went for a little bit more than the Rummenigge. The Rummenigge was also a PSA 7. This is an 8, but, really good looking set, as I mentioned before. $300 and nothing too crazy. Here, this is a, must be a really fun one. I don't know too much about it. 1926. Looks like a South American issue. But yeah, I mean, anyone paying, $324 for a card that has basically a drawn-on border and stains on the back and all this stuff, I love to see it. I mean, honestly, I really do. Just because, that means people truly love it, right? You wouldn't, like, if there was any modern, card or sticker with any drawing on it whatsoever, people would laugh it out of the room, and you may as well burn it. But being able to see that sort of stuff is really, really fun and sort of shows you where it was at the time, right? I mean, people weren't looking at these as, things that they had to keep safe and near and dear to their heart. Oh my gosh, what is this? No, like mid-video? No, what is this? No, they changed their whole website. No. Any change is bad, to me, but gotta love how they have, like, filters so I can turn on coins and currency and comics, video games, and memorabilia while I'm looking at soccer cards, trying to push me onto other things as if I don't love soccer enough. Despicable. Well, I guess we're just gonna look at the rest like this thing, because I don't care to fix it yet. Okay, so we keep on moving. We saw another one like this earlier from the same set. Zamora here in a PSA 6. Looks like one of those sets that you'd assume is easier to grade, given we've seen a couple high grades already, and doesn't seem to have a whole lot going on. Antony out of 11, PSA 10 going for $360. Seems cheap, but at the same time, I guess seems expensive because, what has he done? But compared to how people were hyping him at one point, seems pretty cheap now. Then we have a Kevin De Bruyne at Belgium, Panini Football, from what is this, 2010, number 163. This is the portrait shot, which is a bit more rare. If we go and look at some comps here, the sale here is $360. The last one was $492 for a 9. So looks good compared to the last sale, but then the last 9 was $1320 before that in January. So comparing to this 9, it looks very cheap. Comparing to this 9, it looks a little expensive. So, not bad all around, I would say. PSA 7 Campio going for $370. Not a bad price either. We tend to see the 8s go for about $500-600. So, seems to make sense to me. Cool that you can get a Panini Calciatore pack for $370 here in a PSA 9. We did see one recently with Maradona on the front, so that was really cool. This is, just a legendary sticker, not much to say here. 3.5 going for $372. We saw the, 8? I think it was an 8, maybe an 8.5. But a really high grade last week go for a few thousand. So, much more attainable, I guess, in that sense. And it's such an iconic set. So to be able to have, the most iconic player and the most, one of the most iconic sets. Really, really cool there. We have Ronaldo Leaf Auto. We also have a Nanina from, this is the Puskás rookie year. This is Piola. So not a lot of releases then. Some legends in the sets. That's going to draw demand. PSA 5 Mirror Pele. Looks really good, but not too crazy of a price. So, makes you wonder, but looks really nice, surely. Hey, there we go. We got some USMNT in the house. Love to see it. This is a press proof die cut out of 149, PSA 10. Personally, I like the select die cuts if I'm going to get a die cut from Pulisic rookie year, so that's sort of how I go about it. Next to that, we have a Pele postcard going for $430. Again, they sort of grade everything Pele. I will say, I like postcards, to be honest, but I like postcards where you can buy it for, a few bucks and no one really cares. $450 in a slab. I'm not as sure, but could be good. I don't know. It seems like they're graded in a decent amount. Pop 105, 3 graded higher, so at least you have some comps to go off of. Here we have an Alifa PSA 8 going for $500. Pretty cool there. Brazil team. Another Pulisic. I'd personally much rather go for this than the one prior, just because this is a pretty legendary set, I would say, as is, with the 2018 Eminence. Also didn't go for it just because I in the past I got a really nice Neuer for about the same price as this Pulisic. and that doesn't really, seem to add up to me. I know Pulisic, has a lot of collectors, he has a lot of love, but at the same time, he's going to sign forever and he's going to have high-end stuff. So, I'll wait it out. This is actually really cool. I thought that this was a steal, but maybe I'm just not in tune with the prices from Messi on cards. But I mean, $500 for a Prism, if that is real, I guess, to be fair, it is Beckett, so people all have their own opinions. But I mean, I don't know. I read the Leaf, sort of agreement with Ronaldinho, and Leaf, I think, was paying Ronaldinho like $90 a sticker auto, basically. And so if Ronaldinho gets, $90 per auto, and that's like a profitable price point for the company to then go and sell them. I mean, Messi Prism auto from the first okay, I guess this is 2018 Prism. I didn't really calculate that into it. I was more so thinking 2014 Prism. Now that I reconsider, I guess I can see that. I don't know why someone was selling in 2018 Prism. If this was 2014 Prism with an auto on it, I guess, yeah, I'd lose my mind. 2018, I guess I could see a bit more why that is what it is. I mean, honestly, even at this point, you'd probably rather have a 2022 Prism base over the 2018, so fair enough. Then we have an Mbappe Red Blue Wave and a PSA 10 up here, looking at the price point for that and sort of what it's done. Down from the last sale. Last sale was, what, $735? This one's $609. Actually, this one's $588, so a little bit lower than that. But, I mean, overall, compared to where it was, sort of going into the World Cup, still up a good bit, so that is nice. Also, Mbappe and PSG in general, not really looking great, so that could have something to do with it there. 2020 Topps Chrome Steve Aoki Superfractor Ansu Fati going for $630. Obviously, really low price given, Ansu Fati and what he was at one point. We'll see another one here soon, so keep an eye out. Above that, we have an SGC 6 Bobby Charlton going for $630. Really nice looking, one of the more recognizable vintage cards, I would say. He does have other rookies, but this is sort of the one that's ingrained in my head at least, and looks like a decent price point for that. PSA 8 Monday Chromo going for $700 for Messi. About right in line with the overall sales for that, always bouncing, I would say, between 600, 800 range, not going too crazy, because at the same time you got the 9s at about 1500-ish. This Pele in a 10, we've seen this I think a few times. I don't know if it's the same ones trading back and forth, or this actually isn't a pop 1 of 3, I do not know. A Kaboom David Beckham going for $750 in a 10. Don't really know how to feel about that, just given everything else we're looking at here. Some legendary cards, and then sort of just, I guess if you're a Beckham collector, but this is like post-career stuff. I don't know. I don't know what David Beckham's grail is. I guess the Shreddies would be what comes to mind initially. Obviously, there's got to be, on-card autos and stuff like that. But even, I guess, something like that, you could probably get yourself a nice auto. You get yourself some Shreddies. I don't know. I don't get the Kaboom hype on stuff like this. Maybe like, the rookie year of a player, or a really important one of a player in their playing career. I can see that, but this just seems crazy. Also this is really low. 2003 Upper Deck 9.5 going for $750. I want to take a peek at this. So that was $750. Last one before this was a BGS 9.5 with a 10, to be fair, and it's a different version of the card, but $2,300. And if we scroll back here, it just kind of gets worse and worse over time. Just really crazy how far this is down. And at the same time, could have been a deal if you believe in the SGC 9.5. Personally, I think SGC 9.5s are nice. I'm not going to pay PSA 10 prices, of course, but at the same time, I do think that they are worthy. This is pretty interesting. PSA 9 Messi Campeon going for close to $800. Just interesting to see that is close to the Monday Chromo and at 8, only being less than $100 off. These are pretty plentiful and high grade, but also the Monday Chromos are, so that's a fun one to look at there. Above that, we have a Topps Chrome Orange Messi going for $840. Seems like a pretty fair price. The 2017 in a 9.5 did, I think it was like 4,000 or so. So, this can't go too high. Next to that, we have an out of 10 Cristiano Ronaldo, PSA 8. From the 2020 Euro. Personally, I'd much rather have the Messi here. I know it's second year Topps Chrome, but what sort of importance does this have for Ronaldo? I do not know. Obviously, it's gold, so I guess you got that going for it, but 1958 Gazzetta Pele going for $870. We'll take a look at one of those here in a moment. I thought that this was interesting. This is the 2020 Topps Chrome UCL going for $900 when the Steve Aoki did $630. I figured having Steve Aoki's name and brand on a card would diminish it a lot more than that. Apparently not that big of a deal. The more you know. But I guess they are 1 of 1, so, someone could convince himself it really doesn't matter. 2019 Immaculate Booklets, Ronaldo going for $930. That is a sticker auto. Looks cool. I like the look of booklets, but to be honest, people don't really like them. They're hard to store, hard to display. Look at this Beckett slab. It's massive. Sticker auto is what it is. 1896 Godfrey Phillips, General Interest William Charles Athersmith rookie. Okay. I think actually we did see this last week because I remember sort of seeing the same picture and thinking, wow, that looks nice. But really good price there at 1,000. That's fun to see. 1958 Pele Gazzetta in a 2 going for 1,050. I don't know if I have this pulled up. Yes, I do. So 1,050 there. The last PSA 2 actually did 930. So looking decent compared to that. And the last Gazzetta with Pele and Garrincha together did 960 in a 2. So pretty decent price there. All comes down to eye appeal, really. Next to that, we have an early Holland auto. That's been some of the fun talk, I guess, recently in terms of the soccer card hobby, where, you know, just pulling endless Holland autos. Holland stickers, I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't be throwing all my money at it. I say it all the time, but I see cards of his go for the same price as Ronaldo and Messi, and, like, you know, who would you rather buy? Seems pretty easy to me. Here we have the Stargazing Galactic Ronaldo. People have the galactic version of all these Revolution cards, so that's sort of what they love and what they go after. And so 1230 for that seems to make sense, and 9.52, 9 on the centering, which is actually kind of harsh, just generally speaking, because usually these types of cards without great borders, it's hard to tell. 2021-22 Optic Kylian Mbappe going for 1260. Looks like a really cool card. Obviously, I think it's still a pretty legendary World Cup for him, even though he lost, just because, you know, scoring 3 goals in the final and almost being able to come through that. I mean, it's still crazy, but doesn't seem too bad to me, honestly. I'd much rather buy this than, like, the Holland auto, for example. Next to that, a 1958 Gazzetta. This is sort of the team printout, so, you know, not as big of a fan. Another rookie from the same set there in 1896. Above that, we have a true rookie of Socrates going for 1440. The Brazilian players all have really strong markets, even like, I guess that's sort of what I find elsewhere. Sort of the niche, and I guess, you know, to say Socrates is niche is harsh, but, you know, in Brazilian lore, you know, he's not necessarily the first few names that come to mind. And typically, if it's not the first few names, then, you know, you're going to be pretty low on the list. Not to say he's bad, again, but, you know, just saying. Next to that, we have a Ronaldo 1994 Deportivo going for 1470. Here we're going to take a look at that. Not too bad compared to the last sale, but then pretty bad compared to the sale before this. So 1470, 1620, and then 2400. And I'm going to scroll back, and I don't know. Should I scroll back? I mean, at one point this was like 10,000 for a 6, and it hasn't really found its floor yet. I know we'd like to think that it did or has or whatever, but, you know, down from 4,000 to 3,000 to 2,000 to 1,500. I mean, you know, at some point, obviously, it will find its floor. When, I do not know, but this is sort of one of those things with, you know, I know Ronaldo's a great player, but he does have a lot of different rookie options, and they still get graded in a decent rate, so you have to keep that in mind when going after this stuff. And not to say that's going to keep falling. I do think it looks really nice, but I'm just saying right next to it has kind of a good representation of what I was getting at. I mean, this is like the card of the hobby, in my opinion. Now, you know, I'm a bit more modern centric, and I'm not as much an old head that's back, you know, collecting pre-war. So I'm sure there's stuff back there. But basically, in terms of what the hobby knows, what the hobby loves, this is like the card, right? And so to have this card go for the same price as this card, now I know pops aren't the same. You know, this is a little lower, but I mean, come on, it's messy. It's a PSA 5. Looks pretty good if you don't look at the bottom corners. I will say that too. So going for 1770 there. Looking the messy up. Basically, that is a good bit down from the last sale. Last sale was 2,300, so at 1770, almost 1,800. Definitely a bit of a hit, but still up, I guess, from the low of you know, pre-World Cup win. Then, you know, a bunch of nonsense right here. Don't really want to talk about. I mean, 101. You know, it is what it is. Ryan Gravenberch was a big name at one point. So, I mean, honestly, to still see that going for 2,000, I would say is pretty impressive. Just because, what has he really done? 2019 finest red refractor Ronaldo going for 1950. I don't know. I mean, I guess if the Topps finest set sort of heats up, maybe that's a fun one since it's out of 5. It is a sticker auto, which isn't as fun, but it is a 9.5. It's Ronaldo. It is Juve kit, but yeah, it doesn't seem too bad. Then we have a Maradona and a BVG 8.5 going for 2160. Given what we'll see here in a second, that seems really, really high. So, yeah, we'll get there. 1958 Pele Aquarella going for 2,200. Want to take a peek at that. So we have the PSA 2 here, down a good bit over the last 6 months, down 45%. I'm probably going to make a video on this. I would like to take a bigger look at Pele's market and just sort of see what it's doing. It feels like it's been dropping a little bit, which I guess it's sort of due almost, because I don't know. If we look at the last 2 years, I mean, these are like the all-time high prices almost. And Pele's only down 50% from all-time high prices. I mean, I guess you could look up here, but realistically right back here is like all-time highs almost. And so if he's only down 50% from all-time highs, that's not really that bad. I mean, when you look at the rest of the soccer card market, especially for something like the Aquarella, which isn't all that rare and is getting graded and, is going to be, suppressing prices a little bit. And given all the factors of everything at the moment, it sort of makes sense. And at least for me, as someone that's never collected Pele, just because his prices just seem sort of out of line of the regular soccer card market. And to be fair, I get it. Pele's like a GOAT, maybe the GOAT. But he just has a lot of stuff, man. You look at his rookies, there's like 30 of them, 40 of them. They all do crazy prices, and I'd just rather collect other things for the most part. But you never know. If they get lower, who knows? 1958 Pele. This is the duo one of him and Vava. This is a PSA 3 going for 2,200. Not a bad price there. Went to look up the last one. The last 3 sold for 2,800, so down a little bit. Actually down a good bit. I guess it's like a 25% decrease. But this is one of the more rare of the Pele rookies. Not necessarily, I guess, the best looking, since that's someone else on the card, and everyone always, despises that, really. Another Galactic Ronaldo going for 2,600, pretty high price there for the showstopper. Then this is why I thought the BVG was pretty high. I mean, this is a PSA 8 going for 2,760, while the BVG 8.5 goes for 2,160. It seems like a discount on this PSA 8, but I guess when we go back and look at prices all time, all-time graphs aren't going to give you a good idea. Now, I will say they do give you somewhat of a good idea, right? Because, I mean, that Pele, right? There's Pele cards that are only up, 3 to 4x from before there was a big soccer boom. I mean, this Maradona is still up 13x from the boom. And this is one of the most graded cards in Vintage. Now, to be fair, it's also one of the most iconic cards, so it's got that going for it. But, I mean, Graph doesn't seem to be doing that bad overall. Up from the last sale of $25.80, so up $200, almost 10%. But from the new year, also down, a good bit. So it depends what you're looking at there. Really good sticker, though. Not much else you can add beyond that. Speaking of, really good / legendary stickers, we have the Cruyff Palarex in a BVG 4.5. I believe it has a remove back. I look at it before, it's pretty faded, and so probably a PSA 2 maybe. Going for 3,000 there, though. Pretty good price to see. 1958 Titulares Pele. Really like this set. I think both of them look very good, and they have sort of these variations. But looking back at that here, we have a PSA 3 before with the Eye Appeal designation in February, selling for 4,500. So not too much of a discount, given this doesn't have the Eye Appeal designation. Before this, there was a 5 that went for 8,000. And you also have a 2.5 back here for 3,300. So seems about right in line. Nothing too crazy there. Maybe a little dip, but nothing all too notable. The Aquarella in a 3, and this is sort of one of the interesting things, I guess I would say, like, would you rather have the Aquarella or the Titulares in a 3? I mean, personally, I feel like it would be that, but just because everyone in the hobby, at least, outside of like the soccer card realm, they know this sticker, this card, whatever you want to use it as, but they know this, right? And, they don't know this. This is a little weird to them. So I don't know how that plays out, really. I think that's interesting and kind of fun to see, and it's interesting to see that they both go for near the same price here. That graph probably going to look similar to the one we saw earlier for the Aquarella. Here we have a BGS 8.5 Ronaldo, so I want to take a peek at that. Up a little bit. This one seemed to bottom out at like 4,200, and that is 4,800, so not bad there. There have been kind of a lot of these, it feels like, getting graded, at least for me. I see a lot of the Mega Cracks go for auction compared to the football stickers, especially if you're only counting real stickers and not the fake BGS slabs. So I can kind of see why the prices decrease / or evening out, maybe going up now. We also have the Record Pele going for 5,000 and an 8. Comparing that to past sales, about right in line. This actually hasn't taken too much of a dip, at least in the single cut version of it. I mean, in July of 2020, I guess it was 7,300, but in July of 2021, that was that's Beckett Vintage. Okay, this is 6,600 in January of last year, so down 1,500 at least compared to the overall Pele market, like we saw. Not really too bad in the last year. And then finally, we will get to the top 3 now, and that is going to be, first off, this Maradona Estampas 1978 SGC 4 going for 7,500. Pretty good price there. I mean, for that, I didn't, I thought at one point I had a chance at it on Sunday. I looked at the auction. I think it was at like 900 or 1,000. And you know, I really like the sticker. I like Maradona 78, 77 stuff, and mid to high grade if you can get it for a decent price point. I think it's nice, right? At least for me, that's sort of one of the things I consider, right? Whenever I look at Pele, there's 30 different things. Of course, I want something, but, you know, how much of it can I get? That's very hard to figure out. With Maradona, you know, I can probably, you know, build a very nice Maradona rookie collection, while compared to Pele, I probably will never have anything of significance. So it's something that I consider, and so I at least at one point thought maybe I had a shot. Yeah, it turns out no shot at all. 7,500 for that. The colors overall looks pretty good. I mean, the edges, the corners, the centering isn't bad. I guess I've seen better photos, but at the same time, this is by no means bad. I mean, there are times that this can get really, really bad, and so this looks pretty decent, I would say, which, you know, maybe you think that that sounds kind of weird, but just given this, you know, sticker sort of history and the focus on it and everything about it, I mean, it can be really rough at times. So that is a nice looking one there. Clean back, also have the eye appeal designation going for you there, so that is really cool to see at 7,500. Comparing back to past comps, a 5 went for 7,000 before, a PSA 8 went for 66,000. So yeah, you know, I don't know. It really depends on what you're looking at there. It also would seem that the PSA 5, I guess, it looks like the same one sold before for 10.5. So that was a bit of a haircut there wherever someone sold that. And since then, it's just been a bunch of ones. So this is one of the things. So it kind of goes back to what I was mentioning before. You know, not a lot of great grades for that sticker, tons of ones. So to be able to find something like that is really, really special. I thought, you know, speaking of really, really special, I thought that these were special, but I don't even know anymore. These are, of course, the alleged fake Messi brother autographs. And now we've seen like 3 of them at the top of the PWCC auctions in the span of, you know, a couple months doing this. So yeah, I was hoping I wouldn't have to see this that much, but it seems like every week at this point we have to go through this. So yeah, any auto that looks like a coat hanger, again, that's the scary part. Coat hanger right here, no. Little circle, good. That's really all you need to know. Nothing to see there. We continue. Pristine Mbappe out of 65, orange World Cup 2018 Prism rookie, going for 15.6 thousand. Very, very high price there. Obviously, comparing it backwards, where does that land us? The last BGS 10, the PSA 10 before this went for 10,100, so it seems like a 50-60% premium placed on the pristine one there. Comparing it backwards, actually really not that crazy, I guess. I mean, a PSA 10 in 2022 maybe it did 20,000, so yeah, I guess at one point this was a bit crazier than that. So to be able to get a pristine for that isn't looking too bad at all. But I guess again, if you go back and compare it all the way to back here, you know, 2 different worlds, really, isn't it? But that is another PWCC auction down. Overall, really enjoyed this week. I think, you know, a lot of fun, high grades and high prices coming in for some of the legendary players, but then also a lot of fun, you know, collecting type stuff going on in the lower price ranges, which is what you love to see. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like. I'd appreciate it greatly. If you want to see more videos like this as soon as I go live, make sure to subscribe. Also, would love to hear your comment on anything you thought about the auction or anything you purchased as well down below. But with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.